Guys, I don't know about you, but every single off-season with this team somehow finds a way to test us. Just when it feels like things are finally starting to settle down, something comes out that gets the entire Who Dey Nation talking all over again. And today we have not one but two huge Bengals stories that every fan needs to hear. The first one has everyone debating the future of this franchise in a way that honestly caught a lot of people off guard. Then right after that, another major voice connected to the Bengals stepped in with comments that completely changed how a lot of fans are looking at the situation. These are the kinds of stories that can completely shift the conversation around this team. If you are a Bengals fan, you are definitely going to want to hear both before jumping to any conclusions. But before we get into everything, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy talking Bengals with people who care just as much as you do. My name is Leo and this is Bengals Jungle Report. We are still a brand new channel working toward our first 500 subscribers. So if you are a real member of the Who Dey Nation and you want to say you were here from the beginning, we would love to have you with us. Now let us get into today's first story. So let us start with the first story because this one has created a lot of conversation among Bengals fans over the last few days. Some people have actually started throwing around the idea that the Bengals should trade Joe Burrow and begin a completely new era in Cincinnati after another disappointing season that ended without a playoff appearance in 2025. It was another year where injuries once again became a huge part of the story, and unfortunately Joe Burrow was not able to stay healthy for the full ride. Even though Cincinnati spent this offseason trying to address several weaknesses on the roster, those trade rumors still found their way into the conversation. But one person who is not buying any of that is Bengals legend Andrew Whitworth. Speaking with DJ Siddiqui from Casino CA, Whitworth did not hesitate when he was asked about the possibility of Cincinnati moving on from Burrow. He said he is an Ohio guy. Sometimes it sounds fun to speculate, but I do not think it is reality. Cincinnati loves him. This organization has built everything around him. I would be shocked if he is not their guy and their future. Honestly, I think that is exactly how most of us feel. This franchise spent years searching for a quarterback capable of changing everything. Then Joe Burrow arrived and completely transformed the expectations of this organization. But Whitworth did not simply defend Burrow. He also made an important point that I think every Bengals fan should hear. He said the Bengals have changed almost everything they used to do as an organization since Burrow became their quarterback. According to Whitworth, this is a franchise that historically was not known for changing its ways for anyone. But since Burrow arrived, they have changed how they approach trades, the NFL draft, spending money, and building the roster. His message was very clear. The organization has gone out of its way to build around its franchise quarterback. Now Whitworth believes the responsibility starts shifting back toward Joe Burrow. He basically said the Bengals have done everything they can to become a different organization, and eventually they need to start getting that return on investment by seeing the team stay healthy and win consistently again. That is not criticism, that is accountability. If we are being honest as fans, that is fair. Nobody questions Joe Burrow's talent. Nobody questions his leadership or his competitiveness. The biggest question is simply whether this team can finally stay healthy long enough to make another serious Super Bowl run. The Bengals opened the 2026 season in Week 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Every single fan knows how important that first game is going to be for setting the tone after missing the playoffs again. Now let us move to our second story because Andrew Whitworth was not finished talking about Joe Burrow. In another interview, this time with Athlon Sports, Whitworth made it even clearer how valuable he believes Burrow is to this franchise. When he was asked what it would actually take for another team to trade for Joe Burrow, his answer was simple. It would have to be something insane. Think about that. Not a good offer. Not multiple first-round picks. Something insane. Whitworth explained that in today's NFL, everything revolves around the quarterback. When you have an elite player touching the football every single offensive snap, you simply do not give that player away unless the return is almost impossible to refuse. He even said the trade speculation is much more of a fun media narrative than something that is actually realistic. I completely agree. He also mentioned that if there was any organization aggressive enough to make that kind of move, one of them had already pushed its chips to the middle of the table with previous blockbuster moves involving Myles Garrett, the draft, and Ty Simpson. That makes it even harder to imagine anyone putting together a realistic package for Burrow. But that was not the only thing Whitworth talked about. He also sounded genuinely excited about where this Bengals team is heading. He said he has noticed a real change in Joe Burrow himself, especially as a leader. According to Whitworth, Burrow has placed much more emphasis on leadership this offseason and on changing the mentality inside the building. That is something Bengals fans have wanted to hear. Whitworth also pointed toward all the defensive changes the team has made and said he believes Cincinnati feels this AFC North division is completely wide open. He said there are question marks surrounding every other roster in the division, while the Bengals know one thing for certain. When healthy, this offense is almost impossible to stop. He reminded everyone that statistically this offense has been incredible over the past several seasons despite all the injuries. Now the hope is that the improvements on defense can finally complement an offense that has already proven it can score against anyone. Whitworth believes the Bengals have every opportunity to compete this season. The biggest challenge is staying healthy. Because if Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and the rest of this core stay on the field, this team believes it can compete with anybody. Whitworth's comments also carry extra weight because he has not always defended the organization. Back in October of 2025, he publicly criticized the Bengals front office over the way the offensive line had been built through the draft and free agency. Earlier this year, during an appearance on the Pat McAfee show, he also made headlines while discussing Trey Hendrickson after questions involving the Bengals trade for defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence from the New York Giants. So this is not someone who blindly supports every decision Cincinnati makes. When Andrew Whitworth praises the direction of the organization, it is because he genuinely believes they are moving the right way. I think that is what makes these comments so encouraging. At the end of the day, both of today's stories really send the same message. Joe Burrow is still the foundation of everything the Bengals are building. The front office has invested heavily around him. The coaching staff believes in him. Former players like Andrew Whitworth believe in him. Now the next step is seeing that belief turn into wins on the field. As Bengals fans, we have lived through enough frustrating seasons to know that talent alone is not enough. Health matters, execution matters, consistency matters. But if this team can finally put all those pieces together, there is every reason to believe Cincinnati can get right back into the playoff conversation this season. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with Andrew Whitworth that trading Joe Burrow is not even a realistic conversation? Do you believe this Bengals team is finally ready to win the AFC North if they can stay healthy? If you enjoyed today's update, do not forget to like this video and leave your opinion in the comments, because I really want to hear what the Houday Nation thinks about all of this. And if you believe in the future of the Cincinnati Bengals, make sure to subscribe to Bengals Jungle Report. We are still a brand new channel working toward our first 500 subscribers, and we would love to have real Bengals fans with us from the very beginning. Thank you so much for watching. Houday.